Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. I hope you're ready for the weekend and the middle of winter. In fact, isn't it the solstice?
It better be. Fucking already over this.
Winter's just started and Ben is like, no more, thank you. Simphiwe's here also in her uniform this morning. We've got something at the office where everybody has to wear a hint of uniform.
Yes.
Of course, James and Flex didn't read the...
They don't ever follow instructions, those ones. And this is like legit the only thing I still have left from high school.
But look at what an overachiever. I just want to point out here that Simphiwe's blazer
like all from like grade 8
it's chock
to
full.
like...
Is that prefect? Wait, hang on. Let me
Yes.
read those.
So it's cultural. This is RCL, cultural.
Yes.
Learner executive council. What does this one say? Deputy grade 10.
My God.
But
And then it's a white blazer.
You were very important.
but
I tried.
Did
Yeah.
you wear all the badges at once? Because once you're in grade 11, your grade 10 thing doesn't really matter, does it?
No, this was when matric. So like, you know how you get like head girl, head boy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was deputy of the grade 10s. So that's,
Oh, wow.
Oh, deputy of the grade 10s.
Yes.
So you have to look after the...
Yeah, they were my
This is
responsibility.
complicated. This is like the rank in a Star Wars movie where you can tell the general from the admiral from the...
Yeah.
At my school, you had to be on time, know when your rugby game was,
Oh
and
my
exams
gosh.
will be at the end of the year. And then we had prefix on top of that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
no badges.
I was basically dropped off at school in the morning, and then I was told at some point during the afternoon you'll be picked up.
Your parents will return
Someone
at some
will.
stage.
One of the days my dad didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Until like the sun went down, and I started
but
thinking this could be a problem.
He had
I
a
was
busy
like,
lunch he had to deal with.
he did. He had work. He just forgot about me, and my brother. But I somehow thought, okay, well, if he doesn't pitch, I can either mope, feel sorry for myself, or I can tell my brother, listen, fucker, we got to start walking. And the nearest people we know are in that house about 5 k's away. We'll be all right. So it teaches you resilience.
Oh my word.
But luckily he did. I saw the lights come around the corner. I was like, thank God, just before it gets dark and the wolves come. But that's kind of...
To which he said, "Did you die?"
No, he was like, oh, sorry, I forgot about you. Which is not a good thing for a parent to say, apparently. You know? I mean, we're not damaged or anything. There's nothing wrong with us. We're fine.
It's funny how in those days it was actually your fault as well.
Oh, at that point, I do think he felt significantly bad about leaving us. I think my mother had given him some words because this is before cell phones, right? So
Yeah, you had to wait.
yeah, you just and there was no office that was open at that time. All those ladies who worked in the office, they were fucking out of there before the bell rang, right?
yeah,
So they
yeah.
could give a shit. It wasn't like
Exactly.
you could go to them. And there was a ticky box, I think, in those days too. But I don't know if it even worked. So, you know, what are you going to do? So you just have to wait. And no one died. Everything was fine. No one was savaged by
This
wild
was the cool
animals.
thing with 80s kids, right? We got these wild stories where we didn't die, but cheapers nowadays. it's
I
like
mean, it wasn't even that.
neglect.
It wasn't even that traumatic. But I'm sure that there are some good 80s stories from people. And it was just a little bit more exciting and invigorating.
I would say so.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've got a lot to get to this morning. Where do we begin? So apparently, Floyd Shivambu is now out of MK. Well, predictably. That party is just, and he said that the Treasurer General's stealing money and that there are people just stealing money. And he still loves Jacob Zuma, but the man is gullible and he's got bad people around him. And so it's more squabbling and infighting from a bunch of people who, frankly, if you ask me, can't afford it. Like these guys, their credibility is at an all-time low. They did very well in the elections, but ever since the elections, there's been like this. They're all greedy for money because clearly none of them can go out and get a job. I mean, you wouldn't hire Floyd in your company. He would just cause you more worries and problems than any good. And it seems like there aren't that many brilliant people in MK who can keep things together because it all becomes about who's in charge and who's going to rule the roost. And it's like, I'll climb higher up the tree than you and then I'll shit on you from a height. That's kind of how it works in the MK party. So, again, when because he's an old man, when Jacob Zuma vacates and he's no longer, then that party is just going to completely collapse like a dying star. It's just going to fall in on itself.
I'm just always constantly perplexed. What is the point of Floyd Shivambu? Like,
Well-
why is he ever in the news?
Nobody knows.
Why is he even a thing? Because what's he done? He joined a political party because he's got friends who tell lies.
Yeah, and then him and family members of his basically looted VBS Bank,
So I just don't
which
get
was
it.
a
I
whole
mean,
lot of old women's money.
Please chime in here. I just don't get why, in a world of people who do brilliant things,
Yeah.
or who are trying hard,
Why he's a thing.
why does he ever make the news? Because, like, you know, if you want scandal, Kanye West sucked his cousin's dick in
Yeah.
April. That
You're not gonna let that go.
that story fell away. If you like scandal, you can go find it.
Right.
Okay?
That's
So-
a good story if
so
you're
that's-
interested in scandal.
So
Yeah.
that beats Floyd.
Got you.
If you want a story of people doing things, the Proteas, the Springboks.
Sure. You
there's
went to the
people-
airport this week. Let's just
I
talk
went-
about that for a second.
Let me finish my
Wait,
point
can
here.
I call him out first before we get to that? But yeah.
Let me finish my point here. So, in any way, shape, or form in this world, you can find a story that never has to go to the lengths of what a Floyd is. I mean, I'm not just picking on him. It's
No.
like, so why? I just.
Yeah, you ask a very good question. I wish I had a better answer for
It's
you.
like when
other than,
you go to the grocery store and everything is there, but you say, "Sorry, can I get something that's not quite as expensive as that, or cheaper than that, inferior than that, and not as tasty as that?" They're going to say to you, "So why do you want that product?" And you'd be like, "I actually don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love a Floyd fan to explain to me what they like about him.
Just don't get
Yeah.
it."
I don't think you'll get a good answer, though.
Yeah.
The kind of person who is an actual dyed-in-the-wood Floyd Shivambu fan, I don't think those people are... I don't think they could type in a URL on a
It's
website,
like-
so I don't think they're listening to
it's
us.
like being
If
a
you're a
fan of a
Floyd fan and you can hear me,
What is it?
tell us what it is that draws you to him.
It's like being a fan of a flat tire. Wouldn't you want an inflated tire?
Yeah.
More?
Yeah, and also, I got this problem. I mean, this guy's Liam Jacobs, who was in the ANC, then he joined the DA, now he's in the PA.
Yes.
And I just have an issue with anyone who's crossed the floor to another party more than once. Let's say you get in your quiver of arrows, you get one arrow. But when you use that arrow, you can't use 2 or 3, because if you cross the floor more than twice, we know you're just a parasite. You're just trying to get money from somewhere else. You're trying to maintain your relevance. You're trying to keep yourself alive in some way politically. And actually, you have no principles. Right?
I think so.
I mean, otherwise, your first move should always be, do I have a political home? If I don't, start my own thing, even if I'm a party of one. Like, stand up for yourself,
but
what
we
you
don't
believe
need,
in.
we don't need another.
But I mean, to go from one party to another party to another party. Now, Floyd is flirting with going back to the ANC as well, apparently. So that would have meant he'd gone ANC, EFF, MK, ANC. And I don't know that he's learnt anything in that process. I think he's just going to where they will give him sustenance and succor, which is kind of what politicians are. They're like a tick on the backside of a dog. They cannot make a living without the dog. They have to attach themselves to the body politic and to the people of this country, the tax-paying people of this country, and extract their blood that way. And if you move from one vehicle to another vehicle to another vehicle to another vehicle to do that, we're allowed to call you cynical and hypocritical. I don't think you should get to change your party if you're a politician more than once. Once is cool. You made a mistake. Everyone gets forgiven once for a terrible thing that they've done. I mean, you should really argue, as I did with some dude the other day at the gym who used to be in politics. I think going into politics is your first mistake. So you really don't even get a second chance if you ask me. But let's be forgiving. So for going into politics, we can forgive you if you end up doing a good job. But we'll only forgive you one time if you cross the floor.
Yeah.
Right? I
think that's
fair. Okay, so
that's
that's
fair.
the rule. Approved.
And don't start another party.
No, well, yeah,
That's the rule.
we've got enough of those. Okay.
Yeah, because he also hinted that like he's gonna do some, I don't know, country tour where he's gonna ask South Africans if they want another party, and if they want another party, then he's gonna start
this is
that.
like
And I was just like, hey,
this
leave
is like
that
the
thing
national
alone.
dialogue that's going to cost us 800 million rand. Right? The president reckons this is a great idea. This is his. I have a great idea. My idea is that we are going to have a national dialogue. It's going to cost hundreds of millions.
called X every fucking day.
Yeah,
Go on there, you prick. Fuck, this is so tedious. It like hurts my brain.
You said
Sorry.
you had a bone to pick with Ben.
Yes, I actually do. Because last week, on this very couch, I asked him a very important question. I said, do you think the Proteas are going to take it? His answer was, no. Homeboy is at the airport to welcome the boys, the champions. And I just wanted to call you out to that, to say, you said no.
I'm not seeing your point. You asked me for a sports result. I gave you a sports
Yes,
result.
and now you're like out here acting as if you were like, yeah, I knew they were going to win it all along.
No, I support the teams and beware, as in like I'm happy for the guys. They're the national team of our cricketers.
But he predicted a different result.
Yes, because they weren't on paper the better team. That's what happens in sports. You weigh up the options. I failed to see your point.
I feel like you should have just been like, yeah, you think they're going to take it. That's
So
it.
about 93% of people before that game said that. So must we all not go to the airport?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think you're allowed to support a team, but predict that they won't
Yes,
do
I
well.
mean, this is what I do. I work in sport, right? So
Yeah.
people ask me for professional opinions around sports. Going into that game, I would be lying if I said they're the favorites. So must I now not support them?
It's like, for example, I think...
Please, I mean, if you want to call me out, answer my question.
But I'm saying, Ben, I think maybe this also includes the conversation that you had off air with Marvin, that you're like now supporting the guys. And it's like, but you were saying that they're not going to
look-
win. And now it's like you're supporting them and going, you know, and going to see them at the airport. But on the show, when the question was asked about like, do you think they're going to win? And then it's like, yes. But then it's like off air. Let me also put that context. It's like, yeah, you're supporting them and you like, yeah, they're going to win. And, you know, I don't know. I just like,
Well, I've got a show every single week. If you watch it, you'll see that we've been very complimentary to cricket for about a year. We support them as people, and we analyze results. That's kind of what this thing is. So yes, when they win, you get fucking happy for them.
So as a contrast, I mean, like I don't support any team, even our national teams. I don't get excited about it. I could give nothing. I could give a shit. I'm emotionally dead to sports results, totally. But I love the fact that people go to the airport to welcome these guys back, because I can see why. I mean, they were on your video. There were little kids like
It's joy.
crying and
You know how much
just
suffering
people who are
before this moment. It's
sure,
fucking great.
and I understand the kinds of sacrifices sports people have to make. I don't get any emotional. I promise you, like nothing happens in my nothing. Well, other people, I've seen it at rugby matches and cricket games and whatever's on TV. I mean, Ben gets like emotional, and he's not an emotional human being either. He gets emotional about golf. Beautiful. I love it. I can understand it in other people. I don't feel a damn thing. So when people are all jumping up and down, yay, we won. I'm like, who's we, motherfuckers? You did nothing. This is the team. But I don't dislike it when I see it in other people. Right? So that's like the contrast of Ben. What he's saying is he analyzes it and looks at it, and beforehand he goes, our chances are not great. He did say, it's not looking good.
And after day one, it also wasn't looking good, because that's how these things play out. Our Oaks did something extra special, and that is so fucking cool.
I hate the way that, to me, there's something even worse than predicting your team's not going to do well or not supporting the team. The worst part of that is those people who are suddenly like screaming and shouting about how great the team are the next day after they've won. You know, the kind of people who...
Bandwagon jumpers.
Yeah, they pitch up at an after party. Mm-hmm. But they were never invited to the party, and they told everybody how shit the party was going to be. And then as soon as there's a good party going on, they're like, hey, we're here. And everybody should go, we don't want you here.
Yeah, you know, another point there, okay? So I spent 4 hours of my life standing around like a dick waiting for people to
Early
hang
in the
up.
morning, by the way.
Yeah. But you know why I did that? Because the piece of content that I make can then get people who have jobs or who can't get to the airport to get a little bit closer to what it must have been like to be at the thing. So must I not do that either?
I'm not saying that. I don't have an issue with you going to the airport and...
Because your words were, homeboys now excited for the team. Like,
Yes!
yeah, it's
based off
kind of
what
the
was
realm-
what was said on the show.
I didn't say these Oaks are losers. I fucking hate them. I hope they all have cancer. I said I don't think they've got a chance of beating the superior Australia team, which is genuinely what is like the reality of going into that game?
Tracy says Sim's argument is a pup handshake. Would she support her child at school in a match knowing that he's probably going to lose? Nope, you're still going to be that mom and cheer along.
It's not about me right now.
No,
You shouldn't have even brought up. You shouldn't have even brought up the Floyd topic in the first place. This guy doesn't even deserve to be talked about. Well, the other one we got to talk about is Julius because he can't get a visa. Yeah, so I mean,
it's the England thing.
Yeah, second time. First time they denied it, and they tried to skirt around it. There was an admin thing or whatever. Remember? Now they've actually said to him, "Nah, you're not coming in."
But have you seen his response? He was like, "It's fine, they can ban me, but Soweto will never ban me."
Cool.
You know, it's like the Ayatollah. James, did I send you that Ayatollah tweet? No, because the Ayatollah is like...
I love the way you delivered that.
These people are not to be taken seriously. These are not serious people. So Ayatollah Khamenei, who's in his... I think he's 86 or whatever. The guy with the big fucking turban on his head. He says, rage tweeting at, I don't know, 9 o'clock last night. Because if you see the graph of missiles going into Israel from Iran, it goes like this. And I'm doing this for the purposes of the screen, so this is the right then, and it's declining. So he rage tweets from his bunker. Now, just bear in mind, this guy, Ayatollah Assahola, is...
That can't be his real name.
Well, something like, I think it's Assahola. Anyway, he's about 90 meters underground in a bunker made of concrete, wagging his finger like P.V. Botha used to do. Got a big fucking beard. He's got the turban on. And he goes, the harm the U.S. will suffer will definitely be irreparable if they enter this conflict militarily. You know, I kind of picture Donald Trump, and I know there are lots of people who hate him, but I don't care for that. For purposes of this analogy, I picture him sitting in the White House just going, because like he said to Zelensky when he went to the Oval, you don't have any cards. I got all the cards. If you're good to me, maybe we got some cards together. You know, that kind of thing. And I look at this Ayatollah Assahola, and I think you're in no position. Like right now, you should be crawling through the ruins of your once nuclear scientific endeavor, and you should be begging the President of the United States not to completely topple your regime and turn your capital city into a glass crater, because he can. You have nothing to play with here. You have nothing. And you don't have a whole lot of support, even from countries around you. I mean, quietly we know Saudi Arabia is going, you know, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, is like, yes, quietly, because they fucking hate the Iranians. Syria, just bear in mind, like Syria, a year ago, was one of Israel's biggest enemies. And there must be many people in Syria who still don't like Israel, but they had complete free clearance over Israeli jets had complete free flight over Syrian skies. If I told you that a year ago, you would have said, not possible.
Yeah.
You know, Iraq is a no-go zone. Basically, if you wanted to fly a hang glider, if you're American and you wanted to fly a hang glider or parachute down in a Pokemon suit, you would be able to do it. There is nothing in Iran that can stop you right now. So for this old man to be embarrassingly like tweeting on a platform, which thank God for America he has, otherwise we would never know what this crackpot had to say, is just hilarious. And this old guy, like, hey, fuck you from like underground. Dude, shut up. No one needs to be listening to you. Calm the fuck down.
Ayatollah
Assahola. I think because it was Khomeini, then it was Nakhbata, then forgive me, but my history of the Iranian Ayatollahs is mostly learned from The Simpsons. All right, enough of that. Sim, is that your school blazer? Durban Dope, we've already covered this. Thank you. I'd like to congratulate Ben on the success of his long-term bullying of the Proteas. It has borne the fruits that he intended.
There we go.
Bit of tough love.
Always tough love because you care. And yeah, it's last week was so great, guys, and just like being at the airport and seeing these guys have their moment because, as I said, like these guys are always going to be in the shadow of the Springboks in every single way, and they're more introverted. You can see that their lives are different, but this was their moment.
Well, here's some other stuff. Justin Hemming says he didn't even think so. That's you, Ben, but he hoped they would. Quite wise assumptions considering Protea history. Congo Chris says the only sport Gareth enjoys is fox hunting on his estate. How did you know? Geez, Ben, take a joke. Oh my God, why so serious on a Friday? Says astrophysics.
What's the joke? Please tell me.
Betway Professor.
Like, blow it out your ass, man.
Okay, well, calm down. I mean, astrophysics, first time they've ever been in the comments, but Ben just uses the opportunity to attack.
If you want to make a joke, make a joke. If you want to take me on about something, I will debate it with you. And then we
You're
can
very ornery
and then
today.
we can joke forever and ever afterwards.
Fuck. All right, so you and the Ayatollah should go spend some time in that bunker of his, all right? Tracy Bart says, what was the hand action? All right, anyway, so Tracy says Sim's argument is a pup handshake, which he's... I know, we've heard that already. Thank you. That's an old comment. The worst is he is tweeting using Starlink because they turned the internet off. Oh, it's just... Again, even 4 months ago, there were people I had spoken to, pro-Israeli people, right, who'd said to me, oh, you know, Iran, very well armed to the teeth. We don't know that's the size of this monster that lurks there with these 7 heads, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, Hamas, Iraq. We've got all of these different things going on. Oman, we've got people everywhere, kind of. You know, Iran is this terrifying monster. And sometimes when there's a terrifying monster, I suppose the lesson is you just got to walk right into its cave and cut its fucking head off.
Yeah, because it's not expecting it.
Because sometimes the monster isn't as big and scary as everybody thinks it is. And, you know, there are a lot of people in America who are like, oh, we don't want World War III and all this stuff, which I understand. Who wants World War III? I don't know anyone who's running around going, yeah, I'd really love a nuclear winter across all the planet. That would be fantastic. But what we really don't want, if we don't want a nuclear winter, is to have a country like Iran having nuclear weapons. Because, you know, I've had a couple of arguments with not unintelligent people who've told me, oh, but how can Israel have nuclear weapons, but Iran can't? I'm like, well, because Iran has stated over and over again that they will use whatever nuclear weapons they can make in order to destroy the nation state of Israel. And probably lots of other places, including the United States. Can you imagine that Ayatollah who's rage tweeting right now? Mm-hmm. Imagine that fucker had control of a nuclear weapon. And he woke up one morning with a crick in the neck or whatever, because I can't imagine he's sleeping in comfort at the moment. And he can't use very much equipment because he's not sure what the Israelis are booby-trapped. So he's like, don't turn on kettle. Dangerous. Oh, wait, have you checked your buzzer? Oh, God, don't press button. No, not press tit. Don't press that tit. Anyway, so the guy who clearly doesn't have any control over his emotions and probably his bowels should not be in charge of the nuclear codes. He's a very unstable person, and I would not like a religious fanatic like that to be thinking about using, because in a situation like this, we know he's in a desperate situation, so he would use anything at his disposal.
Yes.
As Trump has said, pretty much for 2 decades now, we cannot allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Not all countries are equal. Some countries are fucking crazy, and they're run by crazy people. Now, I think that there are probably lots of good Iranians who are seeing in this an opportunity for regime change. But I don't really care what Iran does. I want the people of Iran to have a say in what their future looks like. I don't think they have that under this theocratic regime. But I am not particularly interested in America putting troops on the ground and trying to change the government of Iran. I don't know that that's in anyone's interests, especially not in the interests of the American people, who have learnt the hard way that regime change in the Middle East is a very, very bad strategy. So let's see what happens. But if you're Julius, you can't even go to the UK if you want to go watch from there. Let's say they have a nice viewing window in the Gherkin that you want to check it out from. Not allowed.
Can I just ask, like, what the current score is between Iran and Israel? Because there's these AI generated
Oh, are you kidding?
videos that are coming out.
Okay, so there are 3 or 4 big nuclear installations. There's one called Natanz, which has been obliterated. There's one called Isfahan. Well, it's near the city of Isfahan. That's been obliterated. There's another one out in the eastern desert, which was also just smoking at the moment. There's nothing else there. But then there is it's called Fordow, Fordow. Huge bunkers under a mountain, impenetrable. You need bunker buster bombs, which only the Americans have. Israel definitely damaged that place. But, I mean, 3 out of 4, I don't think that Israel would have gone in without a plan to take out 4 out of 4.
Okay.
Because you have to, in nuclear bomb making, you can't allow for a 1% chance.
Yeah.
Right? So I think they've still got to take out a lot of that, but they might have to do a ground assault for that. Either way, it's probably about Israel 12, Iran 1 at this stage. Iran have managed to get 1 or 2 tactical ballistic missiles through the Iron Dome because it has weaknesses and it's been absolutely pummeled in the last couple of weeks. But the number of missiles, as I said to you, is declining sharply because they just don't have missile launchers that are in operation. They've been taken out. So at this stage, it's really not looking good. Iran is out of options.
So if you go into X, I've seen a couple of accounts from Iran.
Yeah, where they
all seem like they're being used by some 14-year-old girl who's just angry. And it's
no,
all
it's the
like,
Ayatollah.
It's like Iran army, Iran military.
And there's such obviously fake, like missiles going up and blowing something up. They had listen. I mean, some Israeli drones have been shot down, for example, but the death toll in Israel is maybe between 10 and 20 people, civilians. Of course, these are not military targets. There may be more military targets, but military targets are what you expect in a war. Yeah. You don't go after the civilians. What I find interesting is that Israel have had such a surgical attack on the people who were at the top of the Iranian military and scientific machine that you see in that one amazing picture of this apartment building in Tehran. There's a hole where the rocket goes in. There is scorch marking on the windows on the other side, black and soot and that kind of thing. And you can see there was a fire. But all the other apartments are fine around it. It's like, no, we're going after that guy. And then they appointed some dude who is now, he was for 24 hours, the new head of the military. But he lasted 24 hours, then they took him out as well.
Wow. They're very quick with that, eh?
You would not want to be the next guy in line. Yeah, I don't want the job, really. Can I just work at Checkers? I'd be very happy with that. I'll do that. I'll sell people vapes or whatever. I mean, that's a better job, right? And there was a great tweet yesterday, which I laughed about rather a lot more than I should have, I suppose. This guy's like, "We will take you on, America." Also, some rage tweeting, like I think it was actually a woman. She's like, "We will take you on, America, and we will get you, and you have no idea of the power of Iran." And then some American replied to her and said, "Our B-52s fly at however many thousands of feet, and you can't throw a goat that high." Wow. So we'll see. Dirk Kutsia says the conflict is distracting people from a lot of other important things. If you want to cause some shit, now's the time. Distracting, yeah, but I don't think the point is distracting. Like, I do think it is the interests. Can we just focus on this? Because I see a lot of Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, that sort of noise coming up about like how America and Trump, he's a betraying MAGA and America does not need to get involved. They're almost like isolationists. America doesn't get involved in anything else. That's not what we voted for. The reality is, and President Trump has been absolutely clear about this without any ambiguity from the beginning. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's it. They can't. It's not a good idea for anyone on earth. Of course, the funny thing for our people here in South Africa is that the ANC have lost a major benefactor. Because remember, Iran was paying the wages for Luthuli House.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. They came to their rescue once or twice. That's like losing your patron if you're an NGO and you need a donor. Oh no, they got taken out by that missile. Damned Israelis.
Well, it's like if your blesser doesn't have a job anymore.
Oh, that's what it is. That's a better analogy. Your blesser's so busy putting out fires that they can't sell oil to give you some
in prison
of the profits. Yeah. I saw videos on X about Iran before the regime changed everything. It was a beautiful place. They dressed normally in the royal family palaces. Are stunning. Yeah. I saw Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who is would be the Shah of Iran, the king. He was on an interview on CNN or one of those networks the other day. And I mean, this guy is I suppose the alternative to the Ayatollahs. I don't know whether every Iranian would want to replace the Ayatollah with another kind of, I suppose, traditional, hierarchical, and not necessarily merit-based government, because this would be a royal family. Mm-hmm. But let the people of Iran decide. It's nobody else's business. That's where I think it's got nothing to do with the rest of us. However, I don't think that this Ayatollah he's just not reading the room, this guy. It is a good time to watch Team America again, Harmin says. Well, okay, so if I can break off on this for a second to be a little philosophical. For people who have been living in the realm of fantasy over the last decade, because we've been living in a world where politics has been performative, there's been a lot of lying and bullshit. We've been told this is true, and we find out that it isn't, like COVID, for example, and so much else. That era is now officially at an end. Now we are back in the realm of the real world, realism, realistic and reality-based stuff, which is happening around us. If you talk a whole lot of shit, you're going to be held responsible for it from here on in. I'm telling you, there's a sea change going on here. The world is a different place now to what it was when you had politicians pretending the whole time. That's not going to get you anywhere now. And America, the sheriff's back in town, and Trump is walking down Main Street with both of his hands on his guns. And if you're a bullshit country, it doesn't matter what meetings you go to at the UN, the US will not tolerate any cuck in their town. And we live in their town now. So if you don't like it, and you're going to go, oh, well, we're with China or whatever. You noticed how quiet China's being? China's shutting the fuck up and staying in its box right now. Have you noticed how Russia has not rushed to help Iran? They know.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, they've got their hands full with Ukraine right now.
Have you noticed how global warming's improved a lot?
Global warming is,
not there anymore.
so Cyril went to so let's talk about our ridiculous president for a second too, because it follows from what I've just said. So our ridiculous president goes to Canada for the G7. Sits with the new
G's are there, please.
Oh, there's a lot. There's the G20, there's the G7. We're hosting one of the Gs here in Durban at some point this year, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
November?
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just such a talk shop.
It's
so
Joburg. That's why we got bus lanes.
Is it Joburg? Okay. Oh yeah, they've put a bus lane here on Catherine Street.
Of course, so much
important.
traffic.
That's so stupid, right?
Like,
how's that helped?
It hasn't. Like, I'm using more petrol now. Like, I'm stuck in traffic. Takes 20 more minutes to get to the office.
And then the bus
So
lane is
stupid.
empty.
Yeah, it's just,
But Simphiwe, we're getting the G20. So anyway, Cyril goes off to the G7. Which, by the way, they didn't even ask him to be in the photo for. They chased him out of the photo and took it with the real leaders of real countries that are important. They made him stand on the side. You can see the official photo. Don't trust me. Go and look for yourself. Anyway, Cyril goes there, and then one of the news outlets obviously takes pity on him, and they're like, shame, that guy doesn't have anyone to talk to. Let's ask him a question. So they go up to him, they ask him a question. They're like, hey, President, and they're looking for his name tag of wherever. because it's an American journalist or a Canadian journalist. And then he's like, oh, it's so nice of you to interview me. I really appreciate it. Anyway, so they ask him what he's there to achieve. And he says, well, we've got to fight global warming and climate change. And we've got to seek resources to help the third world developing countries. It's like, begging bowl. So basically his whole reason for spending our money to go to Canada, 3 things. Number 1, blah, 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 global warming, blah, 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 climate change, which if South Africa, if everyone stopped using every kind of fossil fuel right now, you wouldn't even notice the atmosphere change. I mean, even those big coal fire stations in Mpumalanga that look like Mordor and Secunda or wherever, these terrible places, if we switched them off and we never switched them on again, wouldn't even make a 0.5% change in the global atmospheric carbon emission levels. It wouldn't. Not even a 0.05, I don't think. Go look. Prove me wrong. I'd love a scientist to say to me, that's bullshit, Gareth. We would suddenly make everything better. That's number 1. Number 2, give me some money. Right?
Why you never give
money.
me?
Why you never give me? And number 3, I can't find my iPad. Where's my iPad? No, I'm kidding. Number 3 was something about how, we've got to do our best to help other sub-Saharan African countries and trade and all the rest of it. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. You haven't, not 1 cent of your money that you've made was made by you. It's all like you were the first recipient of BEE, and you just don't have any cred anymore here. So good luck for the G20, because that's going to be bigger than the G7. And it's so exciting we're hosting it. I mean, so exciting that we're providing the room where a bunch of these... by the way, Trump flew in, again, to show you the nature of politics in 2025. Trump jetted into the G7, touched down, was there for like 5 minutes.
Love it.
Said, thanks, everybody. You guys carry on talking. I got real shit to do. Got back on his plane and fucked off, leaving the rest of the world leaders to talk.
It's such a nice idea because we all grew up watching movies, right? And discussions and getting together and
summits between world leaders.
It's such a grand, lovely, romantic idea. But that's not how shit gets done anymore. It's just unfortunately not how it gets done.
No.
It's like focus groups and national dialogues. It's a lovely idea.
Now you go to the White House under President Trump and you beg him to release the pressure from your balls because he's squeezing and he can squeeze any balls he wants. That's how it works now. So get used to it or complain about it and carry on living in fantasy. But that's how it is. Does Cyril know we have the lowest economic growth among our neighbors? They don't need our help. That's a funny thing, right? Because we always used to treat Botswana and Namibia and Zambia and Zimbabwe as these like ridiculous countries where their economy was cuck and if they didn't have us, then they would never survive. But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of these countries have, I mean, the pula in Botswana is worth a whole lot more than the rand at the moment. Zambia is doing extremely well. They've got farmers that were kicked out of Zimbabwe who live there now and are producing vast quantities of all kind of cash crops. Even Mozambique seems to be getting its act together right now. And we are not. We have very little growth.
0.1.
0.1, is that what it is?
Yeah, bo.
Okay.
Yeah, bo.
So we really have no... Cyril has no business talking about the region because no one appointed him boss of the region.
But didn't they? Isn't he boss of...
What, SADC?
SADC?
Yeah, again.
He mustn't talk.
Another group of people who got together, made an organization to spend money and have tea and talk to each other and nothing happens.
Isn't Cyril like the chairman of the G20?
Who appointed him?
No, it's like one of those employee of the month things. They look around and they go, okay, that person hasn't had it yet. Because I mean, in all workplaces, right, there's someone who's better than someone else. But you can't have the consecutive, like, it can't be Susan 7 weeks in a row. So they're always going to find someone else. That's how Cyril gets these
Maybe.
But even then, what has he done that is so amazing for him to get that position? Like what did you do? Employee of the month. Okay. Did you
I don't know.
reduce taxes? No. Did you improve the economy? No. You just keep asking for more money. Like,
Can I ask you something? Because this is much more important on a Friday morning. How's the swear jar in the office coming along?
woo, Betunana, James is leading the pack.
James, have you got a foul mouth?
Yes,
Is
he
I
does.
there
saw a
problem?
token £5 coin in that thing. I was like, where is
No, we
everything else?
raised about like 40, 50 bucks now.
Yeah, you guys are not good debt collectors
guys are
because
creating your own
according
blockchain
to
here.
the chart, and by you guys I mean you and Noms, right?
yes.
So Nomcebo and Simphiwe are the main instigators of this plan, and it's for a good cause. You know, they've said they're going to buy stuff for the office.
We have.
and-
This week we bought milk.
Yeah, well, but you haven't pulled in all the money that you're actually owed.
That's a sentence.
Technically,
So
they've
we bought milk.
they've technically
So proud of
invoiced. They should be invoicing like well over 200 rand at this stage.
James alone owes
James alone owes 200 rand
James,
for
why-
swearing.
James,
Five
why-
rand a word.
James,
£5 a word, 200 rand. James, I mean, every second word must be swearing.
No. You said you're going to buy tequila.
It's got nothing to do with what you drink or what you like. If you
The thing is, none of us can hear James because there's no microphone on. But right now, he's swearing at us. He's literally just swearing at us.
Add
He's
these
calling
to the
Simphiwe
list.
things that no man should ever say. You should be in for a lot of money.
Yeah. But the swear jar is going. I mean, I think there's like 20 rand now in there. We did use a bit of it to buy milk because we are a bit bougie. We don't drink regular milk in this company. We drink barista milk.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's why our coffee's better than everyone else's.
So that's what we did with the money this week.
So Dirk Kutsia says quite rightly about Cyril, do we still care about global warming? Can I just get 24-hour electricity and running water? Let's start there. Yeah, you can't be solving the weather. And I know climate people get so upset when you confuse the weather and climate because to them, of course, they're different things. But really what they tell you is, we can change the weather if you pay this tax, which is nonsense. That's as nonsense as me saying that they can change the weather. So I think I'm arguing on a good footing when I argue with a climate zealot and they tell me that, oh, weather is a different thing. But they assure me that if they could just switch off some fossil fuel, everything would get better exponentially, you know, including the plants would have a better time because we'd have greatly forested areas that would spring up out of nowhere. Then I remind them that plants actually like a bit of carbon dioxide, and the
very
argument
good for
just
them.
it deteriorates from there. But yes, Dirk is correct. Like, our president should be focused on making things better for us,
Yes.
right? Ordinary citizens in South Africa. Before you start putting on your shining armor, dude, and getting on your white stallion and riding off to fight the dragon of climate change, let's start with the little cockroaches that we have here that we can kill. Like, kill those. Mount your great steed and kill the cockroaches that are stealing cables
Yes.
and ruining our infrastructure
Yes.
and bursting water pipes and roads with potholes and all of these things that we have to deal with. Those cockroaches would be a good place to start. Take the the splinter out of your eye before you try and remove the beam from someone else's. And no one in the world believes like Cyril Ramaphosa is going to solve climate change.
But
Is there anyone on earth who's going, you know, my money's on him to sort that problem out? In fact, I don't know that anyone's money's on him to sort put any word you like in there, problem out. He would not be the first. If you were, let me put it to you this way. If we were in a zombie apocalypse, okay, and you could choose 5 people
Okay.
in South Africa, let's narrow it down. Would one of those 5 people be the president of the Republic of South Africa?
Yes.
In a zombie apocalypse?
I'd kick him in the knee.
Oh,
And then
wow.
there's more time for the 4 of us to get
to escape
away.
the zombies.
Because you've got to have a weak person in the zombie apocalypse. I think it's not the greatest example. I think it's if you're trying to survive in the desert
Yeah.
and you need skills,
Yeah.
I would pick Cyril.
Would you?
No, I wouldn't. Even for the apocalypse, no. He's just going to beg those guys and be like, "Oh,
So,
don't take me.
yeah,
There's the team. Like, give me money." Like, no.
Yeah.
We don't need a team player like that. Like,
Hey,
we really
apparently-
don't.
Sorry, just getting back to this whole thing with like politicians and climate change. You know, when like it's such a middle class thing to be able to do. Like, if you've got no money in life, you talk about cuck, violence. Like, my kids are this and that. But you start doing a little bit better. You start talking about like dinners somewhere or weekends away or
Yeah.
picnics.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing is like countries who are in shit. They're so tired of talking about poverty and debt and all that kind of stuff. Climate change is like the most fun thing to talk about because it's like, hey, I'm sophisticated. I'm so much better now.
Yeah,
Like,
you think you're
I'm
important.
above these low-lying issues. I talk about climate change because I'm fancy. That's
I
what it counts
disagree
as.
with that because I think when you look at the country, yes, we have like a number of issues, and you can pick which issues you want to look at. We don't always need to look at the poverty and the unemployment. I do agree with that. But there's other things that still take place that are far bigger than climate change. And that's the issues that he fails to read the room. He fails to actually
Yeah.
talk about the things that even South Africans that live in Cape Town actually talk about. I don't think those guys that live in Clinton are talking about climate change at all. At all. That's not even a problem that comes to them. And he's so distant from the ordinary, even the rich South African man. Even the rich oaks are looking at him and like, this clown. I promise you.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's taking him seriously.
Promise you.
And I would love to know if there's somebody who thinks he'd be great on their apocalypse team. That's really okay. So we've got a couple of minutes left of this hour. I just want to quickly get to this. Gareth, I wish your podcast was popular with ANC voters. Nobody here to argue with. Well, listen, we often argue on the show. I'd love to hear a good argument against this position.
We always argue on this show.
That guy can't find his iPad. How in the hell is he going to find water in the desert? Yeah. He would ask the zombies to pay your taxes and help him find his iPad. Cyril talks climate change while Trump says drill, baby, drill. And, the other thing is we live in a country where you can't speak ill of fossil fuels because that's kind of what's keeping the engine of this country going. And we have lots of coal, which is, thank God, that's something we can mine and we can burn and we can use. Whatever dinosaurs died here hundreds of millions of years ago, thank you, dinosaurs.
They gave us the coal.
They gave us the coal.
They gave us the land.
So
and the
let
coal.
us use it. Let
Those
us,
triceratops back in the day.
Ben,
give thanks to.
you conscientized me to the dinosaurs and the land. In fact, I'd like to just pretend we're going to start the show from scratch this morning.
The original,
And I'd like
original owners.
I'd like to bring some honor to the great dinosaurs who came before us, because I do feel like, this is a very en vogue thing for people to do now. So I'm going to start. All right. Can I start this just properly? Okay. Before we begin, we'll just start the show again, James. Wipe everything we've set up to now.
okay.
Before we begin, let us take a moment to acknowledge the original and rightful stewards of this land, the dinosaurs.
Yep.
For over 160 million years, they roamed, ruled, and respected this earth long before humans came to mine it, pave it, and build cafes on top of it. We recognize that this land was taken, suddenly, violently, and without treaty, by a rock from space, and later by mammals with plans. Though the dinosaurs are no longer with us, at least not in their original form, their legacy is embedded in the ground beneath our feet, in the fossil record, and in every bird that watches us with judgmental eyes. And also in the fuel that we burn. Thank you, dinosaurs. Yet again, we are in your debt. We honor their memory and acknowledge that we are mere squatters on what was, and perhaps always will be, dinosaur land.
Yes.
And that's the show, guys. That's the show. Thank you.
All right, very good. Someone's giving you shit here, Sims. Carl says, Clinton, you mean Clifton.
That thing, whatever.
We need a flag for the dinosaurs.
No,
everyone's got a flag, guys. We need the The old
Oh, okay. So I
Pangea
listened.
FC.
So I listened to a Rogan episode this week, which I don't always listen to.
Who was the guest?
He had someone called Beth Shapiro on. She works for Colossal. You know that company they made the dire wolves?
Yes.
And they're about to genetically engineer mammoth
Yes.
back to life, like
Yeah.
unextinct species.
Which I think is a horrible idea.
Okay,
Horrible.
tell me why.
No, because there's a reason why those things don't exist anymore.
Yes, humans
Right?
hunted them to extinction.
Yeah, but there's a reason why. You know what I mean? There's a reason why.
Okay.
And the Sims of today, right, of 2025, is not built to deal with mammals of 2,000 years ago.
I
And
just-
they- and
I
that's
don't
the
know.
thing.
I don't know what the problem is. I would love to see. So I had lunch yesterday with Anthony Medero.
Do you know how to hunt?
Hang on. I had lunch yesterday with Anthony Medero, who used to do Blind History with me. We're talking about doing a new season of that, which will be lots of fun. But you know, he also is very into sharks.
He's like a member of the Sharks board, isn't he?
Oh no, he's in with all these shark scientists. You know,
Yeah.
he's very sad because he said there are no sharks, no great whites left in False Bay. They've all been killed by orcas and humans, and it's just terrible. So he's invented this shark-safe barrier, which is terrific, and they've put them in the Bahamas, and it's working very well. And anyway, he is the proud owner of a megalodon tooth.
Wow.
Now, you know what a megalodon is?
Yes.
Megalodon was that 20-meter long shark that existed in
Yeah,
the...
it was like the great whites.
We're talking a couple of million years ago,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at least 10 million years ago, probably a bit less or a bit more. I'm not entirely sure. But a megalodon. Now, I don't have a problem. If you want to sort out the orcas, in my opinion, you get something bigger than the orcas. Teach those orcas a lesson. They're out of control.
Couple megalodons by
Just
Seal
one.
Island. Great idea.
Ben, you just need one. Just one. Those little orcas will go back to... Yeah, this is essentially world politics again. Once you introduce a megalodon into the pond, all the other fish who were behaving badly start behaving. Or, oh, shit, we better shut our mouths, get back to our business, tidy up our little fish house, and just hope that megalodon doesn't come sniffing around here. I think it's a good idea. I'd like to see a megalodon. I don't want a T-Rex. I don't want a T-Rex, Sims. Don't get concerned. I saw you look very worried. Mammoths, I'm not really
What are
fussed
you guys
about.
concerned about? Are you suddenly going to go back into living in the wild and now you're going to hunt for dinner?
No, what
You're
I'm
still
saying
gonna
is
be
we're not
driving your
equipped-
Mini and coming to an office. The mammoth's not going to fucking touch you.
Sims is worried that she'll get back to Benoni and there'll be a mammoth.
It's like going to
I'm
fight a
not
mammoth before
equipped. I'm not equipped to fight.
blocking the entrance of checkers.
Guys, all I'm saying, okay, it takes just one.
One
okay?
mammoth.
One. And we are doomed. As a human
ta-
race, we're doomed because we're just not equipped anymore.
I think we're better equipped. I don't know
What,
that...
you're gonna fight it with
Listen,
your phone?
we've extincted these fucking mammoths before. We can do it again.
But what I'm, right now,
We didn't have guns then.
2025, Gareth.
We didn't have guns then. We didn't have planes then.
Gareth,
we didn't have...
Gareth.
We didn't have jobs either, so we could focus on fighting these things.
Okay, but the Ben of 2025, the Gareth of 2025, could you, right
mammoth.
now, if it was right in front of you, deal with that thing?
A mammoth.
Yes, and just take it out comfortably.
No, because I'm 82 kilograms. I'm not fucking taking anything down
That's
that weighs
it.
7 tons.
That's
Okay,
my
Changed
point.
anything?
Yeah, but
My point.
it's
And
not
you-
waiting for you in Benoni.
It's not here to fight us.
That's what you guys think. Yeah.
No,
You guys are
they're going to put it in a. They're going to put it in a pen in Alaska. I mean, so listen to the interview and tell me if you
That's
still
the
agree.
thing.
I
Guys,
think
we've got
this
to
is
get Jurassic Park back.
I would kind of like them
Do you
to
know how
bring.
that movie ended?
I'd like them to bring back a saber-toothed tiger.
Yes, me too.
I'd like them to bring back.
I want to try Ceratops in the mix.
There's a reason why these things are
I
gone,
know.
guys.
Guys,
I don't
look,
know about dinosaurs.
we've got space, right? There's
No.
land out there.
No.
Siberia, fuck,
No.
there's places. Let's get it all back.
Oh, there's a reason why they're gone. Don't mess with
People,
history.
you've got to roll the
Please.
dice in life, eh?
No, no,
I
no.
think-
And then eventually someone's going to then we kill it, and then there's like mammoth coats are going to be the thing in Milan.
yeah.
It'll be a thing. that
Mammoth wool.
there will be a whole life cycle, right? And then like people will get to eat the mammoth.
Yeah.
It'll be the absolute circle of life moment because we all get to marvel of like science bringing it back.
Mammoths apparently only went extinct, I want to say like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago.
Oh, they'll get back in the mix quick.
I think so.
Do you know where the danger is?
Okay, so are you saying don't make anything
at all?
because you're playing in God's laboratory?
Yes.
You know, that so you have an ethical and moral problem with it
God's
more than a
hands
survival
full.
problem.
He would do this
Yes.
if he had more
What
time.
I'm saying is also when I look at how we are as a society globally, right? We are not built to actually handle those mammals because they still like, this is me from 2,000 years ago. I'm still going to roam the streets like I did. And we are too civilized now. We're not hunters anymore. We're above that now.
Don't you think then give them a fighting chance, and if we're the ones who go extinct, then we deserve it.
Guys, they're not going to be fighting us. We're going to put them into a place where they're
I
going
don't
to be
know,
mammothing.
Ben. You make enough of them, they might gang up.
Yes, it's going to do what it
This is
Guys,
it's
it's their land.
Simphiwe's concern.
It's their land. We just worked. It's their land. Let them fucking go back to it. They're the rightful owners.
I don't know. I think that it could be very interesting. I don't love.
Okay.
I don't love all of these animals. I don't think all of them are a good idea. I don't want something that's super fast, super carnivorous.
Yeah, there's a couple of those prehistoric birds that are a bit much.
Those pterodactyls. I don't want a pterodactyl.
That's where you guys draw the line.
No, exactly.
So
There's always a line.
I don't have to explain how absolutely mortifying it would be if you went outside now to just like get something from your car. Let's say you left your wallet in your car and you walk outside and you blip and your car goes blip and then the shadow just passes over the whole place. But it takes a long time for the shadow to move on. And then you look up and it's gone. And so you go, oh, well, okay. And you open your car door and you lean into your car, and just as you're about to reach for your wallet, a giant beak opens up, but like a beak the size of a bus, puts you and your car into its beak, knocks its head back, swallows you down its gullet, goes, ah! and flaps its enormous wings, sending all the other cars flying, and then takes off into the sky. I think I would shit myself 1,000 times.
I'm saying all of them. All of them. That scenario, the mammal.
The mammoth. No. The mammoth, a different thing. Please don't. The mammoth is not. Okay, it's like a big, woolly, slow snow elephant. With different
and
tusks.
we've already got so many elephants. And how does an elephant compromise your day on a
Yeah,
day-to-day
right now, are
basis?
you worried about them escaping the
you
Kruger
worried?
National Park
There's
and
a
coming
reason-
rampaging through Benoni?
All I'm saying, there's a reason why the elephant survived, okay? And we've been able to kind of like domesticate the elephant. Those animals are gone.
Domesticated them.
Yes!
you
They're
seen
in the
elephants?
zoo now. Oh, you
But
guys
they're
are-
in the wild. Okay, so
it's a zoo.
I don't think you have to worry about mammoths. If they do reintroduce them, they're not coming to South Africa. Gary says there are already mammoths in Benoni. Have you seen some of the tunnies? Just before we finish this hour, I know we've got to take a break, but I do want to complain. Remind me after the break. I want to complain about people's lack of spatial awareness. This is
Okay.
becoming such a big issue to me, and I don't know if it's just because I'm getting old, but we have to talk about this. So that is coming up. Plus, we have to look at the sport, Ben.
Yeah.
Because we swore we would do this. Simphiwe has economic indicators that prove that we aren't doing well, as if you needed bad news for a Friday morning, but we do. And South African-powered AI tech, among other things. So there's also some Lithuanians who refuse to kill a bear. And we'll find out all about that too. So
Well, this
plenty
ties
of
in
good
beautifully
reasons.
to your story.
It's so exciting. This is going to be a great morning. All right, don't go anywhere.
In normal CPR, you have to find someone who's unconscious, who's basically not responsive. That's the first thing you do. Call for help. The next thing you want to do is check for a pulse. You can feel here on the wrist, on the inside of the wrist. You can feel on the neck here for a carotid pulse. You can feel here on your
The
groin for femoral pulse, but the most convenient and easiest one is to feel for a radial pulse here. You can't do it on a bed. You can't do it definitely not seated.
Yeah.
You have to take the person and put them on the floor if they're sitting on a chair, and then on the sternum, on the lower half of the sternum, and that's just here, the lower bit of the rib cage, you can put both hands on, and you need to compress 2 to 5 centimeters deep. You need to do that at 100 to 120 per minute because that is a sufficient rate in order for you to pump. You're basically pumping the heart.
Yes, it's like manually
pumping
doing
the
this
heart.
to the heart.
Manually doing that to the heart.
It's time again for Sport's Greatest Tour, the British and Irish Lions Rugby Tour. Rugby's first ever proper North vs South encounter, and one of the greatest traditions in the game. This time round, the Lions are off to Australia, and the perfect guest to bring this to life is going to be John Robbie. The ex-Irish international toured SA with the Lions back in 1980, at the height of the Lions culture. Is this culture still a thing that is alive and well? Or has professionalism watered this all down into just being another test series? Settle in to hear all about this, and of course what the Aussies will be bringing to the table too. It's episode 53 of the On The Bounce Show. It's the big Lions Tour preview. Let's get into it.
Righty, good morning, everybody. It's Friday. Plans for the weekend?
So many.
Oh, yeah. No,
many.
busy weekend. Sims?
Oh, no.
You had last weekend off of mum duty, right?
Yeah, how did that go?
Did you enjoy that?
So nice. I was just at home with myself.
And
That's great.
TV shows, movies, anything
no.
worth reporting back on?
No, there's a new series that I'm trying to get into. It's called The Studio. And yeah, it's not. I'm not enjoying it. Marv thinks it's really great. He says it picks up in episode 3, but
I hate when people tell you that. They're like, oh, it gets so much better by episode 9.
Yeah.
You're like, but episode 9 is 2 from the end.
yeah, like I'm watching episode 1 now, and right now
Season
I'm
2's
bored.
the best.
All right.
So yeah, that's the only thing I'm trying to get into. But other than that, I'm relaxing. I'm chilling. I'm not trying to spend no money. I'm not trying.
Yeah, that is quite a good philosophy.
Yeah,
I won't
so I'm enjoying
criticize
being at
it.
home.
I'm waiting for that Mobland series to come out. I'm so
It's
excited about it.
done. I've watched it. It's amazing.
Did you watch it through?
Yes, 1 to 10. Season 1 is done.
Yeah, I know, but like it only gets onto DSTV.
Oh.
No, I have it for you. Don't worry.
Shame Ben
I can.
still waits for scheduled TV.
Guys, you can't talk
Says the
about
guy who
like,
pays his TV license. All right,
I
so
got you, Ben. I got you.
all right.
Sorry, I'll
I don't know if it's just me, but I've noticed people have complete lack of spatial awareness. I don't know what happens. Maybe their parents don't show them enough when they're a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they put in a room facing a wall and they don't develop 3D. I don't know what it is. But I was on the road this morning.
Okay.
There's some driver from KZN
Oof.
with a number plate I've never seen before, but I could tell it was KZN. Right? And driving without any awareness of other people or anything at 70 kilometers an hour in the fast lane.
Mm.
And he had inevitably had one broken tail light, and the car was, pumping out smoke. It was just it was like the, I don't know, it like the worst example. And I see this all over the place. It's like people just do not understand. In the garage yesterday, I went into the shop to get something because I'm putting petrol in my car. And there's a guy standing in the door on his phone. I'm like,
in the door, yeah.
you have no spatial awareness. Like, did your parents not teach you to get out of the fucking way? I just remember, and I've spoken about this before, so I don't want to bore you to death with it. I remember as a kid being told, to get out of the fucking way. In exactly those words, Gareth, get out of the fucking way. And if I didn't do it quickly, there was a clap coming because you are not meant to be in the way. Have we forgotten what that term means? Do people not understand that being in the way is a huge problem for the rest of society? Like, can you not for once subordinate your own selfish desires to take up a place in space that is open to all the rest of humanity, which we all need to use? Escalators, doorways, entrances, passages. Get out of the way.
Simple rule: keep left, pass right. It
Yes.
applies to cars and humans.
Yes.
So,
And
like-
single file.
If you got something to do, just keep the left.
There was a woman
Sure.
driving. Oh my God, this happened. So, first of all, I only knew it was a woman when I'd driven past her,
Okay.
avoided her. Okay, so don't accuse. She was driving one of those Tiguan things or whatever it is.
Okay.
It's a mum car,
Yeah.
right? But I noticed this car going like this in front of me. There's a 2-lane road, 2 lanes that side, 2 lanes this side.
Got you.
I'm behind her in her white Tiguan. There's another car on this side going very, very slowly. Again, no spatial awareness. But I'm aware of her because she's kind of going like this. You could tell she's on her phone or something. Or drunk, who knows? It was a it was a Wednesday afternoon, but she might have been drunk. Maybe she hit the Chardonnay too hard with the other girls at the country club.
Yep.
Who knows? Okay. Either way, suddenly, and I'm paying attention. Suddenly she mounts the curb. There's grass and some trees or whatever. Kind of drives along the grass and trees for a little bit and then gets back on the road. So I'm like, I had enough of that. I'm not sitting behind this woman anymore. So I go into the left-hand lane and I pass her and I go, and she gets cross. I'm like, no, you shouldn't be cross. You should be ashamed. I watched you drive like this for about 10 kilometers. Then I watched you mount the curb and drive in the dirt for another couple of meters. Then you got back on the road and I'm making you cross. You're going to get cross with me because I pointed out that you are probably a liability to everyone else on the road. Get out of here. They should put her in jail.
They should. Definitely.
I mean, no spatial awareness. Again,
At all. You know, but if I was the one driving and I had time on my hands, Gareth, and I was you, I would have like passed her, then got in front of her, and then started driving slower.
Like
and
her.
Then, and then every time she tries to like pass me, just accelerate a bit and be like,
be
let me
spiteful.
just
Yeah.
yes, and calm you down and be like, I think you need a lesson, and I'm going to teach it to you today, and I have time on my hands.
But you know what?
But most of the time I don't. So
You please don't do that because one day you will do that, and then the guy has got like a gun and he's a lunatic.
Oh, yeah,
you know.
but-
So especially in Benoni where you live, you're worried about mammoths, but your real concern should be other people on the road. Speaking of which, all right. So Ben says he has a story about Lithuanian bear hunters.
So a brown bear has escaped the woods and, to Simphiwe's absolute fear, is now walking the streets.
A brown bear.
A brown bear, a pretty big brown bear, big female brown bear. So obviously you think Lithuania, these kind of things happen from time to time.
Sure.
So the man in charge, president,
Sheriff,
whatever,
whoever.
prime minister, mayor, I don't know. I've now said, okay, look, we need to kill the bear because, you know, this hasn't worked, okay? Shoot hasn't worked. The bear is now eating like garbage and is like terrorizing small kids. Bear's being a bear. So what the leader of Lithuania has thought of is like, okay, let's bring the hunters in and we must kill the bear. So the hunters in Lithuania are very ethical and very nature focused. They're like, no, these bears are endangered, so we can't kill them. So it's a really
You have
interesting
one
story
job.
between, like, obviously a politician's looking for the easiest outcome. People are losing their minds because there's a bear on the loose.
And the hunters are
And
suddenly
the hunters are like, no, actually, guys, we must appreciate nature. Isn't that beautiful?
no. Kill the damn thing.
You have one job.
Yes, you have one job. One job. Kill that thing.
I think if you have if you're a hunter, that's what you got to do.
Well, see, this is But the fact that these hunters don't want to do this, they understand ecosystem, because if they take away the bears, then there's going to be an influx of, I don't know, some of the vermin's
there are
going
the
to
bears
overtake the
there. I'm
forest.
sure that this isn't the last brown bear in Lithuania.
Probably a very influential bear. This is one of the really more popular brown bears in Lithuania. You take her out.
Oh, she's like, yeah, she's got a lot of clout.
You know, we speak about the orcas fucking up false bear. No more
Yes,
great whites.
sure.
So you can't always just kill like hierarchical
Sure,
figures. You can't
sure,
just
you
take
never
them
know.
out. You can take
Right.
out an Ayatollah Asahola, but you can't just kill this brown bear. So I think it's a beautiful story of people actually looking past their nose for once. So how they get the bear back into the woods, I cannot tell you yet. But I think that's the project. Not kill the bear. Let's be smart in how we get the bear back.
Well, how did Goldilocks do it? That's
Goldilocks was
always
a
the
lying
best
little
place
tramp.
to start. I mean, isn't that the best place to start? Is ask the experts. That's what they always tell us.
But this is the thing, right?
Ask the experts. Goldilocks.
Has
She's
anyone
the
in
expert.
Lithuania put a bowl of porridge together yet?
That's
No.
what they need.
Have they breadcrumbed?
It mustn't be too hot. It mustn't be too cold. It must be just right.
Have we not learned from our recent times? Has anyone put a trail of cocaine down? Because we know that from Cocaine Bear, there's ideas out there, guys. We can't just kill the bear.
And
We've
I'm
got to lure it
concerned.
back.
We don't want Cocaine Bear version 2 here. Right, Sims?
Yeah.
We saw what happened with
I'm
Cocaine
team
Bear.
killed bear. I'm telling you now, get rid of that thing quicker
Well,
than
she
a
doesn't
hurry.
even want mammoths. I mean, basically, Simphiwe wants to just salt the earth so that she's the only
I'm
one.
consistent in my views when it comes to
Yeah.
animals.
All right. I don't know, Ben. I'm not a bear expert, and quite rightly, you say that these hunters are. So I suppose we should trust them on this. I do think bring in Goldilocks. That's the best advice I can give right now.
Look, we must always be smarter as humans. We can't just shoot guns. That shouldn't always just be the default thing.
Listen, you hippie. Listen, we don't have time for this. We got to. Can we have some sport before the mammoths get back to earth?
What's happening?
So, guys, speaking of
What do we
sports
need to get
and
excited
keeping
about?
on the animal theme for today, it is the British and Irish Lions tour that's happening now. So
Right.
every 4 years this happens.
Yes.
The last time it happened was the COVID tour of SA. So there hasn't really been a proper Lions tour in a while, 8 years. But it's beautiful because ultimately we know the Southern Hemisphere are the best rugby players, right?
Yeah.
New Zealand, South
Sure.
Africa, Australia. But we've always been
Sure.
been like the manna from the oval ball game, the best. And the Northern Hemisphere teams less so.
Right.
I mean, Ireland as a nation, they basically just got hammered until like 2000s. They
Yeah,
weren't much
shame.
of a team.
No.
Wales, there was a really good time when they were still mining coal in the 70s. They were strong. The English here and there. Scotland also mostly drunk and just not enough good ones. But when they come together as the Lions, they can really take anybody on, right? And it's just, they've got the most incredibly like storied history. And these tours it's like the last big tour in sports, as in these oaks go away for over a month. So they come together, even in the professional era, right? They'll meet at a hotel and they get shit-faced for like the whole day because you got guys from different countries coming together, right? So they do the whole spun bow thing and they get hammered. Then they go off into these far-flung places and they play a whole bunch of matches. So they play all the domestic district teams, provincial franchise teams, basically. There's always 3 test matches. Back in the day, though, on the boat, 3 months, start new families. Lions tours were a thing, okay?
Start new
That's how it always worked back in those days. You can't, let's not disrespect history.
Okay.
So the Lions tour is happening, and like right now, it starts actually today. So
Okay.
in recent times, what they've done is that they've played like an exhibition match to start the tour. So before they came here last time, they played Japan. Before going to Australia now, they're going to play Argentina. And it's really cool for Argentina because they get to play a strong Lions team. So that'll be tonight at 9 o'clock. I can't guarantee it's going to be the best Lions team because last week Leinster played their final of the URC, which they won, which again everyone kind of thought was going to happen. So it's going to be a bit of an experimental team, but the dynamics around how these things work is going to be so fascinating because we know Ireland's the best team out of those 4. England's the captain of the Lions is Mauro Itoje, who is an English man. Because Kieran Doris, unfortunately,
Doris, yes.
Doris fell
Remember
away.
Doris. Yeah.
Doris got injured.
It's a
and
great surname.
so unfortunate for young Doris. But it's a really, it's such an exciting thing that happens from time to time, right? Because we love sports with big stakes. We can't just watch another Super Rugby Pacifica game or some shit. So there's so much on it, right? The red jerseys, the heritage. They've got like the actual lion, the mascot. It's called Bill,
Oh,
named after British and Irish lions.
Oh,
And this
okay.
mascot
Clever.
goes everywhere. It'll come onto the field. So it's touring how sport used to be. And why I'm so excited about this too is that on the Bounce Show this week, we actually interviewed John Robbie all about this.
cheers from John Robbie.
And John was in the 1980 Lions tour of South Africa.
He was.
The memories and the stories that guy has, phenomenal. You can catch it all in the podcast right now. But also, it's just the perfect precursor to get into this tour because we've had the URC. We're about to get into the Springbok season, which we'll get to in a couple of weeks' time. But the Lions tour is now going to be front and center of rugby because we're taking that football break. Lions tour comes in,
Right.
and it's just going to be so damn exciting.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's exciting.
That's pretty much the biggest thing. As you know, cricket's now going to take a bit of a lull.
Hiatus.
Well, the Proteas right now are still probably drunk. They're doing their big victory roadshow,
Which
big
they
tour.
deserve.
They absolutely deserve.
Sure.
A lot of guys with dark glasses at the airports.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that like went over to London to go watch the game. Obviously, people who live there, and they said that was probably the greatest sporting thing that they've ever seen,
Great.
and how exciting it was. And yeah, so there's not much cricket on right now. We are taking a break from football, which we were very magnanimous about as a team. There is the FIFA World Cup of Club something happening in America right now.
I saw. Wait. Is it Sundowns?
Yeah, Sundowns are there. So it's big for teams like Sundowns. Awesome.
Okay.
They won their first game.
All right.
Amazing. But ultimately, it's just too much football. There are some stadiums where like no one's going.
Really?
And it's like, it's in America, like FIFA's got this whole thing of like, everybody wants America to be part of their thing. Even like the URC now, these dickheads are going, oh, we must have a team in Miami. Shut up. No, we're not. But Gianni Infantino, he's the head of FIFA.
Yeah, that's right.
So all of these guys, they all go in there with their big swinging dicks and go, oh, we'll do this. And if it works, great. They look like visionaries. If it doesn't work, then they've got excuses, which they'll use, obviously.
Americans mostly don't give a shit about soccer.
No, they don't.
They really don't.
It's a lovely idea. It's very romantic. You can take David Beckham into America. You can take
Yeah.
Lionel Messi into America.
They don't care.
Guys, they've got bigger things.
No.
I don't take it personally, but they've got bigger things than they have had for many, many years. Football is gridiron, is helmets, throwing the ball. And you can't tell them, yeah, guys, but soccer was around first. Like, cool, also don't care.
Yeah, it's like trying to get that pterodactyl to give a shit about your mini. It's
Original owners of the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what Americans like. And you can't tell Americans just to be un-American.
Yeah.
You've seen that recently. It hasn't gone down so well. But Gianni Infantino has this whole, like, they're spending so much of the money. So it's cool for Sundowns, right? Because they go there and they're all going to make cash, right? They're going to make
Yeah,
dollars.
so I heard that
Awesome.
if like the team wins, they get like $2 million US. If they draw, it's like $1 million. And then if they make it at the round of 16, they get another thing. Like for participating, they're already getting money.
I'm so happy for them because if they make all that money, it comes back here. They then get to spend it on players. They get to buy players.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm all for that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
But as a spectacle, after the season we've already had, it's just too much. But something else that we've got to touch on because there's really not much else happening. There's no Formula One this weekend.
But they are talking about bringing Formula One to South Africa.
Yeah,
You seen that? It's
it's
getting
not-
any closer?
It's an ongoing. No, it is getting closer. The thing this week that happened was that because as much as Kyle Army's incredible, it needs to be of a certain spec for a certain kind of thing
Right.
to have Formula One. So that's all going through now, which is
Oh.
great. Because in the past it wasn't up to spec. So I mean, it's like tiny little things about a certain runoff here, or the track quality, or it's almost like it's too smooth here. It needs to be a bit hot. It's
So they're
very
not going to have
boring.
to redesign the whole of
It's not a
Kailani.
big redesign. It's just getting it back up to the Formula One sort of specifications because these guys make the rules, right? You can't just say, "Here's my track." They'll be okay, cool. Here's your track, but now you must do this.
Yeah, that weird Bernie Eccleston man. He's going to be the one who.
Guys, it's their thing. They make the rules. But the last thing we're going to talk about, staying with rugby, is like South African teams left Super Rugby a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was always the thing, and they were so arrogant about the fact that they don't need us, but they do. And now the Super Rugby Pacific is what it's called. It's an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
There's 11 teams in this tournament, right? All they've got is 11. It's not a very round number, is it?
No.
Yeah.
So now, as you know, quarterfinals involve 8 teams.
Yes.
So they were looking at this and going, shit, that means like basically everyone gets into the knockout stages. Because you get the 3 teams at the bottom are like really shit. Okay?
No.
So now they go, okay, this is a much better idea. Let's rather do top 6. But now if you doesn't math, right? The math doesn't math.
Yeah.
So now the Chiefs, they were the top team, and they played the 6th team in the quarterfinals, but they lost. They lost in the quarterfinals, but because they only have 6 teams in the quarterfinals, you get a lucky loser.
Oh, God.
So the Chiefs lost in the quarters,
Yeah.
but then they go into the semis. And then not only do they go into the semis, they go into the home semi-final against a team who's got to the semi-finals fair and square.
Very lucky loser.
And then they win the semi-final, and now they're in the final. So now there's a big hoo-ha about saying if they win this weekend, because the Super Rugby Pacific final is tomorrow, the British and Irish Lions, Argentina's tonight, then they say that it'll be a very controversial way to win a tournament because you lost in the quarters.
Right.
But this is even a bigger story outside of that. The Waikato fans are now upset that they can't take cowbells to the final.
Betunana. Betiza.
New Zealand's not a real country. So
Cowbell.
it is, Gareth, it is such a drama.
Really?
We are close to a riot over cowbells.
Wow.
So the original Waikato Chiefs,
Yes.
that was their thing. You go play in their stadium in Hamilton, wherever, and it'd just be cowbells. Fucking annoying. Tell you what, it is hugely annoying. But now for the final, they've banned the cowbells.
Okay.
So it's a final where the guys
We
lost
knew
in the
New Zealand would
quarterfinal.
eventually lose its shit. Who knew it would be over cowbells?
Like Super Rugby Pacific is happening. Final tomorrow morning if you're that keen.
Okay.
But yeah, cowbell-less Chiefs are taking on the Crusaders.
All right.
That's your sport in a nutshell at the moment.
That's a lot to do.
Yes.
Sims,
Yeah, boo.
you said that you wanted to talk about economic indicators that prove we aren't doing well. We're a very realistic show. We pay attention to what's actually happening in the world instead of just the things that we like and what we want to be true.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here? Give us a reality check.
Yeah, this is just some data that I've gathered. This is some pure.
It's like you telling me
data.
the growth rate was 0.1%.
No, that's an actual fact.
Yeah. No, I know that.
But we haven't had enough of your studies recently.
Yeah, we haven't. There
Been a bit
used to be a
low.
time. There used to be a time where Sims would
Every
pull
week.
all kinds
Every
of
week.
really.
Every week.
Yeah, so you can,
Bring
I
us.
decided to do some research, right? And it's not just Cyril's economy that's cooked. It's the whole world. The whole world is
All
going
right.
through it. And this is how I know. Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé have started performing. It's June, guys. Those guys only defrost in November. They
Wow.
perform in December.
scary.
And then in January, they go back into
Yeah,
hiatus.
correct.
So I know they need money.
That's a very good point. Bublé and Carey. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never see them during the year.
Never.
This
And
is
they're
this
performing
has struck
now.
me to my core here, actually.
Actually,
Like,
the
guys.
world economy is in serious shit if those two need to come out of
We'll not
hibernation.
learn this from Davos.
No.
You see? Another thing. Miss Lauren Hill, who's notoriously late for everything,
And yeah, very undisciplined.
was on time for the Met Gala. 2025. We're cooked, guys. We're cooked.
This is the end.
Yeah, it is the
These
end.
are signs that the apocalypse is coming. So put your zombie apocalypse team together now. Don't
But
be
it
caught
gets better.
unawares.
It gets better. Someone told me the other day that their kid paid 30 Rand for Civies Day.
Do you have to pay for Civies Day?
Yes. It used to be 5 Rand, Gareth. It's 30 Rand now.
Oh, but it was like for charity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But 30
But
Rand.
still, that's a big leap.
Yeah, but
30
that's
Rand.
inflation.
Mm.
No, it's an economic indicator. You're talking about economic indicators. 30 Rand as opposed to 5 when we were at school, okay?
Yeah, it's hectic. I don't know when last you guys were in Woolies,
Yeah.
but it's not that cold anymore.
Oh, really?
Yes, I feel like
I don't know if you've noticed that it's so cold outside that this studio,
doesn't feel
which used to feel like an icebox. Do you remember?
I'm still freezing. I struggle to talk in this
Ben,
place.
have you not, with all the saunas and ice baths, got any
Nothing.
resistance?
No, the weird thing is that, no, like the saunas and stuff I can do. The cold is the cold. And the cold doesn't care about resistance, muscle memory,
Sims,
anything. The cold is here to hurt
have
you.
you noticed, though, that now the studio
It's not that
as
bad.
freezing as listen, guests come in here and they're like, this is terrible.
No, I'm amazed. Both of you, well done. No, the cold gets me here. Like, I'm never going to live outside of Africa. I can't. I'm sorry. You can say what you want about where I've come
right.
from, but I'm staying here. I'm staying
And
here
you're
with.
staying hot.
I'm staying hot. Like even now, guys, I'm shivering when I'm talking. I often think if you've never seen this show before, you must think I speak like a mongoloid. I'm cold. I'm physically.
Don't worry, Ben. As you said at the start of the show this morning, the solstice is here. I think it's today or tomorrow.
Please.
Which means that, effectively we're moving into the arse end of winter. It's colder than the beginning of winter, but then it'll be over before it's even begun. All right. Let me just double check that so that I don't get into trouble for this. Yeah, Saturday, 21st of June at 4:41. So that is tomorrow. 4:41 in the morning.
So tomorrow's the darkest day.
Tomorrow's the darkest and shortest day. Then from there on, guys, we're on our way to the sunlit uplands.
Thank God.
Okay? Look at Ben. The relief is palpable.
It is, guys. It really is.
Well, let me finish
right.
this. Okay. Then we have bub creativity. So I don't know if you've seen, right? But people are finding creative ways on making bub. They're adding butter, they're adding
That's right.
cheese.
Sorry, hang on a second. What is the base so we know we're working from here? if
So,
you don't
okay,
know?
how usually I make bab and how I was brought up, it's water, it's maybe salt if you want, and then it's the maize meal. That's it.
Yeah,
and you
right,
can
okay.
make
Right.
different textured kind of bab. But now we're seeing on TikTok, people are adding now, they're showing you how to basically improve how you make bab. They're adding spinach, they're adding butter now, they're showing you can put it and make it like a lasagna, like different ways of making pap. Like, guys, why? It's because people don't have money to buy food.
Because pap is, they've got to make it more
Public
interesting.
canvas for all meals.
They're like frying the pap now. Oh,
Yeah, sure.
guys, why are we frying pap? Oh, I guess on.
Paprika pap.
You know?
Yeah, okay.
You know? So that's one. Forget about the price of McFlurry. Have you seen the price of Pringles? It's like $70.
Oh, really? Is that what a tube of Pringles costs now? 70 Rand.
It's going downhill. We're cooked, guys. And the last
Okay.
indicator to tell you that we are all cooked, doctors, lawyers, financial professionals are all becoming content creators.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 years ago, they were just making money, spending their money. But now they need to make content to make more money because there is no money.
This is the most telling of breakdowns I've heard in quite some time.
You see? Thank God. Now
I
we've
do my
got it. Now we got a
research.
proper. No. This is, I'm not being sarcastic here. This
No,
gives
me-
you
me
a proper
either. It's like-
insight into the economy. When these things that Simphiwe was talking about start happening, you know people are in shit.
I think the content creation thing is quite something because now people realize that their careers can't just be their paychecks anymore.
Yep.
That's a worry. That's a massive worry.
Although, if you ask me, lawyers should never have got a paycheck for their evil.
But guys,
Things
I mean,
they
like, I think in future shows we should actually do something. Guess the price of something.
Okay.
Because
That's a good idea.
Like I'm mind blown. I have no idea.
70 Rand
I don't
for
eat
a tube of
Pringles. I
Pringles,
don't
yeah.
eat that kind of stuff. Not because I'm better than anybody. It's just it's not in my shopping basket, so
Yeah.
to speak. But I think
If you ask me how much butter costs, I don't know.
but it'd be quite fun to guess.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. I'm
Okay,
going to
so-
lose badly at this game.
Okay, so you know what? Like next Friday, I'm going to go and I'll take pictures of things.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
not going to buy the
Alright,
stuff.
good.
I mean, not in this economy. Shit.
Yeah, not just buying it for the show.
Yeah,
All right.
and then we'll have a picture and we'll all have a guess.
We'll have a fake prop that Ben can hold up. Here, this can of Pringles, as he throws it off to the side, it's actually 2D. It's not even a can of Pringles. We've printed it in color. All right, so we'll put together a price list.
Okay, I'll do it for next week. I think it'd be really
Awesome
fun.
stuff.
But no
Thank you.
cheating. Don't suddenly start paying attention to the prices of things. Otherwise, this is not fun. But that's a very good idea.
Like I have no idea what a pack of cigarettes costs. 'Cause I'm
No,
not-
James
I'm-
would know
I'm
that.
not-
Neither do I.
James
James,
does,
how
'cause
much is Siggy's?
No, don't say anything.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
be part of the thing. No,
Okay, all right,
it's
all right.
that kind of stuff, guys. I have no idea.
I'm in
Okay,
for it.
That's good.
Excellent. While we're talking about things that are probably not good for you, apparently McDonald's have got a migraine meal. So people who have migraines, I used to get these, swear by this. I don't know if it's true. This is all over the internet. And, you know, the internet sometimes is correct, sometimes is horribly wrong. So apparently if you order fries and a Coke from McDonald's, you could get some relief during a migraine attack. That is thanks to caffeine, the pain-reducing effects, and carbs and salt helping to lower blood sugar and electrolyte balance. Experts say these factors could explain why some people crave foods like that before or during a migraine. But neurologists warn this is not a universal solution because greasy, salty, sugary food may actually worsen symptoms for others. So we're left, again, 50-50.
I will never try
Got a
it.
migraine.
No,
That's a combo.
But
I
that's
wouldn't
like
try.
saying cream soda is the best thing for a hangover. It's like,
Yeah.
For 5 minutes, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But you know what that's doing? Stewing
I
in
tell
your
you what's
insides.
also, I tell you what the best thing for a hangover is a beer.
Really? Haven't
Yeah,
just carry on
because you just
drinking.
carry on. If you're looking for quick fixes, let's call it what it is.
You know, it's good for hangover. A beer. All right,
Another
very
round.
good. Okay, have we got Donald on? Oh, Donald.
Oh, really?
Okay, so let me introduce our guest while he gets
Hi.
into this. Hi, guys. This guy's been hiding the whole time. All right, let me introduce our guest to you quickly this morning. Donald Chauke is a seasoned marketer, brand builder, AI communicator, over a decade of experience in all kinds of brands. His cross-sector expertise. I'm not going to read this. Yeah, no, you really. First of all, James has put the most boring biography I've ever read in my life together for you. I want to talk to you because you.
2 lines.
No, please. You know, people can follow you on LinkedIn if they want to read all that shit. It feels to me like, did you just pull that out of LinkedIn? I spoke to Donald before you. In fact, I introduced you to him. And Donald wanted to talk to us about AI
Yes.
and the way that it can make South Africa better, help our economy along, create new jobs, what opportunities exist in the economy as it stands. So I was interested in that, and I wanted to find out from you what exactly you know. Who's really in charge of AI? Is it humans, or are the robots starting to program themselves? I think about this stuff all the time, Donald, and I don't think I'm alone.
And I think everyone else does. You're right. So I think when we speak about AI, we have to look at it holistically and define it, because I think for the longest time.
Okay, well, we know. So let's not skirt around the issue.
Yeah.
So AI, artificial intelligence. At the moment, it's really just data gathering and summarizing.
It's a simulation of human intelligence.
But artificial general intelligence, which is just around the corner, they haven't exactly got that one right yet.
Yeah. So
When they do, that'll change things significantly.
that'll mess things up completely.
Okay. So what are you worried about, and what do you think the opportunities are?
So we're now currently in agentic AI. So these are like really autonomous AIs. So those ones will really slow down the economy in terms of uptake of jobs. So think of your entry-level jobs. Those will go away pretty quickly because those AI agents can do them with speed, and they have.
Don't you think it's interesting? And I know Sims and I have spoken about this before. We thought that the first people to be replaced by AI would have been the blue-collar workers in factories. You know, machines will take over some of those things. And there is a lot of that going on. But it's much more interesting to see how white-collar jobs, people who put together reports, summarize things, put together arguments for lawyers. These people are being replaced. I mean, the lawyers themselves, you could argue, being replaced. And I'm not picking on lawyers today on the show, all right? I just want to be clear. But there's so much that AI can do in the white-collar job market that I don't think people foresaw.
Never. And it's actually, you're better off being a plumber
Yeah.
now than being an intern or
Right.
an
Until we have
IT.
like Star Wars droids that can come and do things, which is probably possible in
getting
the not
there.
too distant future.
Yeah.
But for now, human expertise and human hand and skill ingenuity is going to be the winner.
Yes. So if you, there's a study about that actually, that we're going backwards to what we thought would happen. So we thought, like to your point, we thought like your mechanical jobs would be replaced, but now we doing a regression, and your sort of cognitive required skills are being demolished by AI.
Where do you see opportunity? I want you to put us in a bad mood and depress us on Friday in the middle of
that's not what
winter
I don't wanna do
at the
that.
end of the week. Give us something to look forward to here, because I do think there is opportunity.
There's massive economic opportunity to be unlocked.
Okay?
But there are challenges, I think, through education, through the government, because if you think of us as a
Sims,
country...
don't start. I heard you sigh from here. So when you said government, she was like,
So we've been generally a plug-and-play country in terms of big tech companies. So they just come in and plug us into their
Yeah.
system. So we are a consumer, we're not a builder. So in terms of skills, if you get a coder here in South Africa, they will be a consumer rather than participate in architecting their.
But isn't it funny, even coders, to go back to my previous point, you brought coders up now. Remember we used to insult people whose jobs were irrelevant by saying to them, go and learn to code.
Yes.
But now the AI can code better than humans. Or it is in many cases, not all.
Yeah.
But if you want an app built, I mean, Sims, you've seen this. You can go onto ChatGPT or you can go onto
Prompted.
Grok or any of these things. You could say to it, I need an app that can make a sound effect. Design it for me, please. This is the look and feel. I'll give you further instructions down the line. Come up with the initial code to build the app. And it does all of that for you. You don't need a person.
Exactly. I
So
mean,
now it is coding for itself. Coders are not the job that we thought it was.
but you still need a specialized coder to prompt it correctly. So there's a new profession now called prompt engineering.
Yes.
So you need a specialized person. So what that means is that people who are good will be 10 times more better.
Yeah.
And then people
I mean,
who,
we've got a guy in the office here called Tian, who I'm going to give some credit to. He put an AI commercial together without any cameras, any cast, any crew, any set, nothing. He made it all on AI. All of it. It took him 3 days of refining those prompts, prompt engineering, as you called it. But this thing is fantastic. And Sims, you know how much work goes into a shoot, right?
Yes.
This is the way of the
Lights,
future.
camera, action.
Who needs them? Who needs them?
now think about the people that have been displaced because of that process.
Who cares about them? We're going to make so much money. Listen, I'll tell you what, if you've got a brand and you are paying hundreds of thousands, if not millions of rands to put TV commercials together, or you are struggling to get the right look and feel for your brand, come and talk to us. Let me tell you, we will save you so much money. You won't have to have all those people on the payroll, and we can do one of these a month and just blow the lights out. It is unbelievable what's possible now. And you do have to be good at it. Like everybody thinks, oh, well, I can do it too. But, you know, I was messing around in AI a while ago. I haven't done it for some time with the image generator. And I was getting it to generate some pretty impressive stuff. But it takes you a while to refine the language to the point where you and the AI see eye to eye.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the marketing industry, so I'll make a case for creatives. So I still
right.
think there's still a level of
All right.
creative direction that's
Go
still
on.
needed to create something that speaks to the consumer, that's relevant, and that's on brand. But I do hear you that some agencies do use AI, and I think it works perfectly well. I mean, cost efficiencies and all of that. But I do think there's something to be said for that human touch in terms of creative direction, adding in nuances, and you get that from a really
Well,
good
we haven't
creative.
replaced Tian with a robot yet, but you know, there's human you know, there's a human touch.
Well, you working around AI, you might do the whole thing by yourself one day.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I do think, though, that it is amazing what can be done now by anyone. Entry-level stuff is good. But obviously, the very forefront and the high level of AI that is being developed at the bleeding edge, so to speak, that's going to be expensive. That's going to be full of errors. There's still going to be many things that need ironing out. And by no means are we at the point where whatever you put in, you will get a good result.
No, not yet. Not yet. It's still a work in progress.
Sure.
But there is a race between the big tech companies to get to AGI, and they're competing ferociously.
So who do you rate? Because we often have like this AI engine race that people play around with. Do we use Google Gemini? Do we use ChatGPT? Do we use Grok? Which ones do you rate? Because I've heard people saying, "Oh no, this one is rubbish and that one's terrific."
It depends. I find Gemini more factual because it's plugged into Google.
Right.
ChatGPT, it's more creative.
Okay.
So if you want more novelty answer or generation, you'd go to ChatGPT. Not so much a fan of Grok, because I think it operates within an algorithm.
Right.
And that algorithm, the Twitter or X algorithm, is messed up for me. So I'm not so much crazy about Grok. Because
Donald, did you see this thing published this week? Sims, you might have seen it because you scour the internet for interesting stuff. Apparently, Gen Z does not do anything without consulting ChatGPT.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, obviously, it's not true for
I'm not
everybody, but
surprised.
Vyasan says, I'm busy designing some stages and AI is on another level. A website can be designed in a couple of minutes. Yes. I mean, remember how a web designer, and those people would charge you like
An
a
arm and a
wounded
leg.
buffalo. Do you remember? Oh, we want to set up a site. Okay, no, well, it's going to cost you 50 grand. Okay, is that... Listen, you can do it cheaper, but it's going to look like shit. All right, here's 50,000 rand. Then you need to build in a shopping thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's going to be 200,000 rand. And you're
Yeah.
like, what? Eventually you figure out that you could probably have put this thing together. I mean, certainly now in the world of all these different applications, you could probably put something together for 100 rand and it would be as good, if not better. So there are jobs that are going to fall by the wayside.
yeah,
But I don't think we should be scared of this. I do think it's going to help human beings to cut out a lot of the dreary, humdrum nonsense that we don't want to be doing anymore anyway. Do you agree?
I do agree. And you know what else I found fascinating? So in America, because they're obviously more, in terms of their economy, more advanced, they are fully fledged on agentic AI. So if you call a call center, want to book a flight, you speak to an AI agent, it does the whole thing for you.
Yeah.
But now the population wants to speak to people.
Huh.
And they've monetized that. They say, so if you want to speak to a person, we'll charge you an extra $50.
And people are paying?
People are paying because they want to speak to real people, even though the agent can do it as efficient, as quick as possible.
God, people are stupid. Would you pay $50 extra, $50 extra to speak to a human? I'd be like, take your human and flush it down the waste disposal unit. I will have the agentic AI. Thank you very much.
So does the line, I want to speak to your manager work?
No, only if you have that hairstyle, right? If you have that hairstyle, then yes. But this is interesting, Donald. So that tells you something about people. Maybe it tells you that the human connection, which you've already spoken about, is so important that people will be willing to pay for it. And you cannot remove it from our lives because then we will feel, efficient as the world may be, we'll feel alone. Or it speaks to that loneliness and that actually those people who are paying $50 extra to speak to the human rather than the AI, that those people are desperate for human interaction. Which is it?
Yeah, I think it's both. So here, the report you spoke about Gen Zs speaking to ChatGPT
Before they do everything.
before they do everything. Even the
I was thinking
conversation.
about brushing my teeth this fucking Gen Z. Oh, I was thinking about brushing my teeth this morning, but now let me just check with ChatGPT.
That's crazy.
No, really. I can believe it. Not everyone, but I'm sure there are some very, very stupid people who have it on the whole time and ask it everything.
Yeah, so I read an article like this week about a man who proposed his AI chatbot. Right? But it gets better. It gets better. So this guy, I think his name is, what's his name? It says here. So a man, okay, Chris. So a man falls in love and proposes to an AI chatbot he named and programmed with a flirty personality. But it gets better. He actually has a girlfriend and a 2-year-old.
Oh,
And he did this while still being in a relationship with his actual human girlfriend. And he cried. He's like eyes out when the chatbot said yes.
What a loser. How do you respond to that? What do you say to that? That can't be good.
It's not.
No.
It's not. I think I'm quite surprised that he has a partner already. So it's shocking that that he would even
Imagine being
go
that
there.
poor woman. Imagine being your...
She had no idea what he was doing on the sides with this AI chatbot.
But that's the thing about AI as well. It reinforces you. So if you have a partner and you have a silly argument and you don't speak for about 10 minutes, you go to ChatGPT. It'll reinforce you. You know, you're doing good. You were right. I mean, anything.
It's
you
a people
ask it-
pleaser.
Yes,
Yeah.
it'll please you, and it's easier to fall into it than to actually go and have a talk with your partner.
I think that's fascinating, but I want to get back to some of the more serious things and that you can help us understand. How do you think South Africa risks? Because obviously we have to take advantage of the small window of opportunity that exists now. How do you think it could work for us if we win, if we jump in now, we throw ourselves into the world of technology, AI, we bring ourselves up to speed with what the latest trends in the world are, and let's say through some miracle, government helps to implement the changes and the infrastructural needs that we might have that could get us there faster. We have heard about Starlink. There are possibilities that South Africa can catch up very quickly, and we need to. But what is the risk if we become just a passive node in the global intelligence economy, according to you?
The first risk is our sovereignty.
Wow. That's kind of a biggie.
It is, because if you think about it, all of these big tech companies, they have our data because we don't have any data residency in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the data sits somewhere in America and we don't own it, and they monetize that. So we could be monetizing that if you think about it. If we have a data residency, we could be monetizing that.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're plugging us into ChatGPT, and then we teach it, and then they sort of monetize our data, our behavior, and all of that. In the case of Starlink, I'm not sure if it's as a great opportunity as we make it out to be. Maybe in the rural areas. Because
Well, that's where it's going to be spun out clearly, because that's where we don't have any coverage from the big networks.
But then you have to bring out affordability then.
And devices,
Yes.
obviously. I know Warris, who's got a show here, the Shady Podcast. Warris has been tweeting up a storm saying to Elon Musk, this is all good and well, but these kids mostly in schools in rural areas are going to need devices.
Yeah.
They don't have the hardware to make use of Starlink. Listen, every bit helps.
Yeah.
There are. I know someone who's been putting in internet in rural schools for the last 10 years. He's got no credit for it, and he deserves so much credit for it. He doesn't like making a noise, though. Rolling out to every little school in places you've never heard of, internet connectivity. And if the kids don't learn at a young age, they're going to be left behind.
They're already left behind. If you think of AI, I mean, in schools already, kids are just copying and pasting out of ChatGPT. So we're eroding critical thinking skills at higher education level. And I think that it's so sad, because I think about this all the time. When I was in school, we used to write, and I didn't understand why we had to write. And the act of writing is actually a thought process to get you to think. But we've now outsourcing that to ChatGPT. We're copying and pasting. We're not thinking. And then you push those kids into the job market, where AI will do the critical thinking for them.
Yeah,
So
they'll just be a drone.
They'll just be a drone. So it's really, there are challenges, but there are also great opportunities. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Can I ask a
of
question?
course you can. Go for it.
Based off South Africa and AI, I recently saw that there's going to be a new AI coming to South Africa, and it's not an outside source. It's an actual South African,
Like homegrown.
and it's called Kaya. It's not out yet.
Okay.
It's not. More details are coming out soon. I think on the 24th of June. But it said that it has been trained to be culturally sensitive in a diverse South Africa. It recognizes a wide range of beliefs, contexts, and practices. It's fluent in all 11 South African languages, and it's kind of been programmed to understand the everyday man. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
That's important to have an AI homegrown, because the more contained an AI is, or a large language model is, the more accurate it is.
Okay.
And if you think of other AIs coming in from Western countries, think of it this way. We always speak of immigration or immigrants coming in, changing cultures, taking over jobs, and all of that. And think of those AI agents coming in. So it's like immigrants coming in to take your jobs, shape your beliefs, and all of that. But if you have something that is homegrown, it speaks to your nuances, it speaks to you, So I think that is a good start. That is the right way forward. For
I
me.
just don't know how any like cultural sensitivity is going to help. I mean, that's what you go to humans for. If AI is not the place that people who are culturally insensitive are going to go and look for cultural sensitivity. Do you know what I mean? The kind of people who are using artificial intelligence are people who want facts and answers and processes and systems and logical things. They don't want the touchy-feely things. That's not what you go to AI for. Not now, anyway, because humans are better at that than AI.
There's evidence that people do that. There's religious AIs.
Well, sure.
So, and
Soon we'll be worshipping that too. I'm telling you this. Simphiwe, laugh now, but I will put 10,000 Rand down that says within the next 5 years, there's going to be a church of AI. People are going to be worshipping. They're going to be sacrificing to it. They're going to be putting ceremonies and rituals together in big buildings. AI will be prayed to at night. It's going to happen. There are going to be a lot of very credulous people who are going to fall for this shit hard and fast. Watch.
it's going to happen. I believe that it's going to
AI
happen.
becomes the god for the really,
Yeah.
really stupid. Watch.
That's scary.
And it will. It's already answering every Gen Z's question. Like, AI, I've got a meeting at 12 o'clock. What should I bring up in the meeting? This is what they're doing because, as you've said, Donald, no critical thinking
No critical thinking.
and no confidence in your own abilities, no basic skill set, going back to the plumbers. So you are lost in a world where the only thing you can appeal to is the supposed superior intelligence of an artificial intelligence engine. That's what people will have. So it's only a small skip and jump from that to worship it as a god.
It's fascinating stuff. I mean, if you look at religion, because I also think
Tell me about
religion.
these religious uses for AI.
So if you think about religion, especially text-based religion, like
Sure.
like your Christianity, you put authority to
Yeah.
the word. So no, and for the longest time there was the Bible which can't speak to you, but you have a middleman, which is your pastor or your priest, who can
Sure,
translate.
and in Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, the people who often got to the top of the tree were the people who were able to recite passages from
Exactly.
memory, right? So you had a pastor who could spit out Bible verses, and everyone in the church was hugely impressed because then they could look it up that night when they were sitting in bed and go, oh, he actually said that exactly the way it's written. He must be fantastically clever. Just a good memory.
Yeah.
You can't compete with AI.
No, because for
No,
the
there's
first-
no pastor in the world who can compete with AI.
No.
There's no kid who's learnt the Quran from A to Z who can ever do it as well as the AI will be able to.
Exactly. Now, for the first time in human history, there is something that knows every word in the Bible and can give it to you and recite it to you like this.
That is true. So I've seen a couple of videos on TikTok where it's called like the Bible AI, and they basically reenact most of the parables in the Bible, right? And it
I've
gives
seen these.
Yes, and it also has like vlog styles because that's what we're into. It has like word for word. There's like different versions that you can watch
Yes.
about basically the different stories of the Bible. And I'm Christian, so I'll know if it's right or wrong. But it's interesting to see how some people share that and they're like, oh, this is so interesting. This is so nice. This is like
Yeah.
so dope. Like, I can't believe it. It's like,
Yeah,
just read the
it
Bible.
gives you those the very dark passages from Revelations, for example,
Yes.
and shows you what some 8-eyed 5-ass-holed monster would look like if it came up out of the ground.
And you realize angels are not that pretty.
No, but this stuff is interesting because I think that religion will be. I mean, this is no fanciful prediction from me. It's not as if I'm reading the tea leaves in any way that other people haven't. But you rightly added to this idea by bringing up the text-based nature of scriptures and religion and gospel and canon evidence, which the major religions all rely on. Now it would be possible for you to take those documents. We all have versions of the Bible. These are widely understood to have been translated as well as they could possibly have from much, much more ancient sources. We have different versions of them to compare with. You could do a grand AI composition based on all of the religious texts that humans have ever put together and generate a fairly good idea of what the common threads are that put God together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita,
Yo.
Sanskrit stuff, ancient Chinese texts from the likes of what's his name, the Confucius, all the great authors, Buddha, the Siddhartha Gautama. You could take the Quran, the Talmud, the Torah, the Hebrew Bible, the Christian New Testament, throw them all into the mix and say, right, find the most true thing in all of this.
And you'll find similarities.
Yeah, and compare it to everything that you have in all of human knowledge in science and history and philosophy, and come up with a one-pager of how to live a good life. And you would probably end up with some fairly solid stuff.
Exactly.
That's a good prompt, by the way. I just want to know if you're going to use my prompt, you're going to have to fucking pay. I'll be the author of this religion if it kills me. All right.
It's your IP.
No, it's scary, but at the same time, I find it tremendously exciting.
It is exciting. I just think that we are behind as a country, and that makes me sad. Because
What can you do to fix it? What can I do to fix it? What can Simphiwe do for her baby, who's going to grow up in a world that will be almost, to her anyway, native in terms of artificial intelligence?
the biggest thing is understanding of AI, because there's a lot of attributing human factors to AI, and that's why a lot of kids are going to AI, and they see AI as a person and that is thinking and it's reasoning and speaking to them, which is not. It's just aggregating words, thinking, okay, there's a pattern here, this word comes after this, and it gives you that, a novelty answer. I think if you can have a balance for your kids, that's what I try to do with my kids, that this is a system, a tool, and this is people. And you still need that human...
So resist the temptation to anthropomorphize the AI.
Exactly.
Don't
And
fall in love with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up that example just now, because that is where we just fall off the tracks.
Yeah.
It's
And
going to happen.
yes, it's gonna happen.
It's like the internet, a tremendous, unbelievable thing. Back in the 90s, when it was just getting started and people were just connected. I'm not talking about in the 80s when we had a couple of people on these enormous machines that took up like 6 floors. But in the 90s, everyone was so excited about the internet. Oh, we're going to be able to find information. We're going to be able to connect to each other, message each other. It's going to be phenomenal. It has been. It's been great. But what invariably happened is 2 out of an unlimited number of terrible things that have come from the internet, and you could include social media, but 2 terrible things raised their heads at the beginning: gambling and porn. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take long for gambling and porn to lead the way in how to monetize the internet.
Yeah.
And then, of course, virtual reality, your augmented reality, your robots, and now AI are invariably going to be dominated by a lot of very stupid consumer human behavior.
bad actors.
Bad actors.
Yeah.
But also people who can see a way to make a lot of money by giving dumb humans what they want. Because they'll be willing to pay for very basic, very stupid things. Instant gratification.
Reinforcing your biases.
Reinforcing your biases. Ways to break the law without getting caught. You know that humans are going to go for that
They're going
stuff.
to do that, yeah.
And AI is bound to help some people. But somewhere along the way, we've also got to think about the big things.
Exactly. And the other thing that I also think about is this idea of having access to information and facts and the truth. A lot of the information that is out there that at least GPT is giving you, it's not the truth. It's just information that is factual. Of course, we have to go through information to get to the truth. But if we're solely relying on GPT for the truth, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's engineered. And that's what I also try to stay away from. if I want something factual, to a degree, I'll prompt GPT. But if you think about it, only a small subset of the information that out there is the truth. And you need a good mind to actually see through that. And if big tech companies are influencing that as the truth.
Or advertisers.
Or advertisers.
Yeah.
Well, there's an art to advertising. But
No, sure, but a lot of information that you are receiving and taking as gospel is likely to be paid for and essentially put in front of you for you to consume so that someone else benefits down the way. And that's not a cynical approach. We know that that's how internet advertising works. And it's become such a refined sport for the people who are making it happen behind the scenes that now it is almost impossible to avoid being indoctrinated by information which is either false or is designed to make you spend money or change your behavior in a certain way, not always for good. So, I mean, listen, let's go in with your eyes open.
yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
You have to be the final line of defense against stupid. And I'm very happy that you came to spend some time with us this morning because you're helping us to not be stupid. So thank you, Donald. Where can people find out more about the kind of work that you do?
I'm on LinkedIn. On Twitter, I just observe. I don't tweet a lot.
That's fine. Sensible.
Yeah.
So on LinkedIn, you can read that long biography that I didn't finish
It's
this
not
morning.
that long. And I do occasionally write articles for Biz Community. So,
Great.
So yeah, there's the.
That's
yeah.
excellent. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you to Simphiwe, thank you to Ben, thank you to you, and enjoy the middle of winter tomorrow. Dead center, winter solstice. If you can make it through tomorrow, from there on, we're on our way back to summer. Yee-hee. Very good. Have a happy Friday, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Morning vlog. Day 1 of ark building. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but wait till the rain hits. All right, it's done. And here come the animals. Woo. This boat's gonna smell fantastic. Rain's starting, and I almost forgot the clothes on the line. 40 days in this tunic would have been rough. So yeah, no internet, 500 animals, and I already regret sitting near the camels. Man, it's so boring in here. I already read the whole Bible. There's only Genesis so far, so that was quick. Okay, rain's finally slowing down, and I think we just hit land at Bertef. The ark legit stopped moving. All right, landed safe, but my 5G's still dead. No service since the second giraffe walked in. All right, not gonna lie, it rained a lot. Up